All right, we're going to look at complex fractions today. So complex fraction is when you have a fraction inside your fraction. So you could have a fraction on the top, the bottom, or both. So I give all three of those examples here. Here we have a fraction in the denominator. Here we have an extra fraction in the top. And then in this example, there's a fraction in both the numerator and the denominator. So our goal is going to be to simplify that. And there's a couple different ways, or I guess a couple different steps to simplify. Our goal is always going to be to get rid of those fractions. So in order to do that, we need to multiply by the least common denominator of the numerator and the denominator. And then after we multiply, then we can simplify as far as possible. So let's look at an example as to what I mean. So here we have 3 plus 2 over a all over 5 minus 1 over b. So our least common denominator is all of our denominators, like all the pieces of our denominators. So here's our two fractions that we're worried about. So our least common denominator would be AB. So we're going to multiply by AB over AB. Again, remember that your goal is to multiply by 1. So that's why we have to do AB over AB. And now we're going to distribute. So we're going to have a 3 times AB, which is where this comes from. And then this 2 over A times A over B, the A's will cancel. Because technically, in order to multiply fractions, you have to put this AB over 1. So that's going to look like, let me get a pen really quick. That's going to look like 2 over A times AB over 1. And here your A's cancel, leaving you with a 2B. Okay, similarly on the denominator, you're going to distribute. So 5 times AB gives us this. But then I'm going to have a 1 over B times an AB over 1. So when you multiply this by a fraction, you can always put it over 1 to see that your B's cancel. So you're left with just a 1A. So we're going to do one more example. Here is our original problem. This time our least common denominator is going to be x and x minus 5. We have 3 different fractions. However, these two share a denominator or have a common denominator. So we're going to multiply by x and x minus 5. So when I do that, we're distributing here first. So your x's cancel, and you're left with a 3 times x minus 5. So that's where this comes from. Now we're going to distribute x and x minus 5 to this piece. And our x minus 5s will cancel, leaving you with a plus 1x, which is where that part comes from. And on the denominator, we are going to distribute to the denominator. Your x minus 5s will cancel, so we would have a 4x times another x, which gives us 4x squared. The numerator can be simplified, so we're going to distribute 3x minus 15, and then plus an x simplifies to be 4x minus 15 over 4x squared.